I'd like to begin by reading a statement from the families, some of the families of some of the victims. On behalf of the Lesslie, Alexander, and Colbert clans, we would like to address the outpouring of heartbreak, shock, grief, and support from our family, friends, and community. We are truly in the midst of the unimaginable. The losses we are suffering cannot be uttered at this time. While we know there are no answers that will satisfy the question why, we are sure of one thing. We do not grieve as those without hope. Our hope is found in the promise of Jesus Christ, and we are enveloped by peace that surpasses all understanding. To that end, our hearts are bent towards forgiveness and peace, toward love and connectedness, toward celebration and unity. We honor all of those involved in this story with prayers and compassion, specifically for the Shook family, the Lewis family, and the Adams family. As Robert Lesslie would say, when peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrow like sea billows roll, it is well with my soul. If you would like to do something for the family, Ada and Noah would want you to stock the free pantries and libraries in your community. Barbara and Robert will want you to be good stewards of what you are given, leaving every place better than it was before you got there. Ada, Noah, Barbara, Robert, and the rest of the family would ask any memorials or gifts to be sent to Camp Joy, North Carolina, 918 South Pleasantburg Drive, Greenville, South Carolina, 29607, in honor of hope and the promise of eternity. The Lesslie, Alexander, and Colbert families, April 8th, 2021. Folks, there's nothing more powerful that I can say today, or you can print, or you can broadcast, than the words that I just read. We have probably more questions than what you do about this case right now. We are working hard to provide some answers. Obviously, one answer is why. That is a question that we are probing as we speak with numerous investigators. We hope to be able to get to those answers and provide some why to the family, most importantly. Out of respect for the families that are victims of this, I'm only going to discuss information that has been released to them. Again, that's out of respect for the family. Also, out of respect for the family, please understand that speculation is very harmful to them right now. Rumors that spread are very harmful to them. We're trying to provide them with the best information that we can, and I ask that you do that as well. Also, the family has asked that they not be contacted right now. I would ask that the media please respect that, as they are in a tremendous amount of grief right now. So this is what we know currently. Yesterday evening at about 4:44 p.m., York County Public Safety Communications received the following two 911 calls.
7/2021, 16 hours, 43 minutes, 4 seconds.
York County Public Safety Paramedical.
Yes, I need to get an ambulance and marshals, I guess, heading toward an address in Rock Hill, please.
Okay, what's that address, please?
4456 Marshall Road, Rock Hill, South Carolina.
All right, what's going on there?
This is just on your sheet metal logistics services. I have two technicians on that location. I just had one call me screaming that he had been shot, and the other technician has also been shot and not responsive.
All right, do we know how long ago this happened?
My technician just called me literally 30 seconds ago.
All right, make sure.
And I'm in Gastonia right now. My technicians, my work he's an air conditioning company, and my two technicians are there. One just called me, he can't talk. He's screaming, I've been shot. And I asked him where the other one is. He said he's laying there and he's unresponsive and he was shot also. I can't get any other information out of him.
I remember just saying, so you got two technicians on scene, both both of them have been shot?
Yes.
Do you have no further information?
No, I can't get him to, he's,
I got it.
one's down.
You know what person's name is that you had going out, that they were going to service?
Dr. Robert Lesslie.
We don't know the status of their health whatsoever.
No, one is not moving, one is non-responsive, the other one is talking slurred, and I think he's been shot in the face or the head or something because he can't talk. He just keeps saying, I've been shot, call 911, please call 911, and that's all he keeps saying.
Okay, what's the two technicians' name?
Yes.
All right, and the person's name who made the service request?
Dr. Robert Lesslie.
Robert Lesslie?
Lesslie.
Okay. All right, so that's, and who, well, got him as also being the property owner.
Yes.
All right, and then this is not characteristic of them at all?
No, they've been shot. I mean, they didn't do the shooting, they've been shot.
I was just making sure that's not characteristic of them to, do prank calls or anything. Just not. That's what
No,
drama.
no.
My thing's
No.
here, okay? And your name, please? All right, I have to create some calls for service in here. All right, I have 704
Yes.
All right, I've got police and EMS both on the way, okay? If you have any contact back with those people, just
Right.
just tell them to remain there in a safe place. We do have help come to them as quickly as we can, lights and siren, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
April 7, 2071, 6:20 hours, 6:40 hours, minute 47 seconds, 7 seconds.
George?
7, 2021, 16 hours, 46 minutes, 7 seconds.
George, have you know one? Do you believe fire medical?
Please.
Where to?
Hello?
911.
Yes, ma'am. I think we've had some trouble at 4456 Marshall Road.
What's going on Marshall Road?
I think there's been a bad shooting, maybe 4 people.
Okay, so you think 4 people have been shot?
I believe so. I was cutting grass out in the yard and I heard some shots.
How many shots did you hear?
About 20. It's automatic. I think there's 2 outside, 2 workers outside, and Miss Leslie's on the inside of the house.
Are you over there with them, or are you on a neighboring property?
I'm on the property, but I'm away from the house because the guy walked out of the house. It was, I'm quite sure I seen him from a distance. It looked like a black guy in black clothes carrying something red out of the house. And I'm on the other side of the property now. If the police or something come, I go over there with them, but I don't want to go back to the house.
Yes, sir. Don't go to the house.
Okay. I can
Do you see any of the people, like anybody outside?
I saw one laying on the ground. It looked like one of the workers. It was the guy working for a heat and air guy. He looks like he's laying on the ground. I saw the guy running around, and I heard the popping, but I didn't realize it was shooting until I saw this guy laying on the ground.
Yeah, these are the 911 calls made before this city.
Okay?
All right, sir, can I get your name? Sorry, I'm updating my officers.
came over here. He's another worker that works here at the place.
All right, is this an okay phone number if we need to give you all a call back?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Have you?
No. Ma'am?
Y'all haven't had any COVID symptoms, have you?
No, ma'am. I've had both of my shots. I'm 80 years old.
All right, where on their property are you at?
It's the house. If you come to the arch, I'll meet him at the arch. It's 4456.
No, sir, I don't need you to be our deputies. I don't need you to get close to the situation, okay? We don't want you getting hurt.
I'm not going to be. I'm almost a half a mile in the situation.
All right, I'll let them know, but I've got the deputies on the way.
Okay. You can call another number too.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
That's my telephone. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
April 7, 2000.
So the long beeps that you heard were just redactions of names and phone numbers that we obviously didn't want to be out there in public. So our first deputies arrived on the scene 8 minutes after that, those two 911 calls. It's a large area, and we began to assist the victims that we encountered. The first two victims, obviously, that we encountered were the two air conditioning techs who were outside the home in the driveway at their work vans. Then we immediately began to assemble a team to clear the house of Dr. Robert Lesslie. Once we cleared the home, we found Dr. Robert Lesslie and his wife Barbara and their two grandchildren in a room in the back of the house, all deceased with gunshot wounds. One living victim, one of the air conditioning techs, was transported from the scene to EMS, who could not make it to the area, by our deputies in a personally owned vehicle that was on the property, a truck. Shortly after arriving on scene, we requested our unmanned aerial system, or our drones, and also our canine unit immediately to respond, as well as the State Law Enforcement Division's helicopter for aerial support. Once the investigation began, we were able to develop Phillip Adams as a suspect in this incident. We also learned that Mr. Adams lived close to where this incident took place, just down the road, about a quarter of a mile, maybe a little more. We were able later on in the evening to make contact with Mr. Adams' father, who lived with the suspect at the time. We were able to remove Mr. Adams and later Mrs. Adams from the home, as we had a search warrant for the home and for Phillip Adams. At around 2:30 a.m., we confirmed that Mr. Phillip Adams, that the suspect was deceased in a bedroom in the home. As I said before, and as Trent said, we're 22 hours into this investigation. We've gathered a lot of information. We have a lot more information to gather as to the why. Again, my two priorities here are, number one, to assure the citizens and the community in York County that an armed man who just shot 6 people is not on the loose. I assure the community that is the case. We feel like that we have the individual who's responsible for this and that he is deceased. My second priority is to the family's respect for their privacy and their grieving process. The little bit of information that I have about the suspect is that we issued several traffic citations by our traffic unit in February of 2021. Those were minor charges. And then he has some pending criminal charges from 2016 that occurred in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Information about those traffic citations are in your packets. I can't go without thanking our partners in law enforcement, the State Law Enforcement Division, the Rock Hill Police Department, the State Law Enforcement Division, Department of Homeland Security, the South Carolina Highway Patrol, the Chester County Sheriff's Office, and the many, many, many surrounding agencies who made contact with me and made contact with us throughout the evening to offer their assistance. We could not have had a successful investigation that we did without those folks' help. at this time, I'll entertain some questions. And please be aware that there's not much more information that the family has been given or that we really know at this time.
Sheriff, was Adams a patient of Dr. Leslie's?
We have not been able to verify that.
Did he shoot and kill himself? You said you guys found him deceased?
Yeah, self-inflicted gunshot. We believe to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. To my left is Coroner Sabrina Gast, and any questions that might be directed about the pathological situation or circumstances of Mr. Adams or death, cause of death, can be directed to her. And behind her is our solicitor, Kevin Brackett, who was on scene last night as well. Andrew.
Sheriff, I have a question. Can you talk about what evidence was found in the house of anything stolen or taken? And is it true that the suspect left a cell phone in the house at the crime scene?
So we have not been able to determine that anything was taken from the Leslie's residence. And all I'm able to say right now is that we did recover evidence at the scene that linked Mr. Adams to that area definitively.
If I may just follow up, I know other people have questions. Can you say definitively or generally how Mr. Adams was developed so quickly as a suspect so that you knew where you were going from there?
By evidence that he left at the scene that we were able to immediately identify and connect him. Yes, sir.
When you guys there to serve the warrant, had he already killed himself by then, or were you guys still trying to negotiate his surrender and then he pulled the trigger?
So we did not hear any gunshots. We did try to negotiate and get him out of the room that he was in. We did not receive what we believe to be an adequate response. So that's speculative as to whether or not he had already shot himself or he shot himself as we were arriving or while we were on scene. We did not hear any gunshots once we arrived
Did his
at
parents
that house.
believe that he was alive when last time they saw him, or when they
That is what was relayed to us at the time. Yes, sir.
Were the
Yes,
parents aware of what happened?
at the time, no. Yes, sir.
Any indication how he got into the home? Did he break in, or how did he get into the house?
I will tell you, he forced entry. Yes, sir.
Sheriff, we're hearing this is a situation where maybe he was cut off from medication, that he was a patient of the doctor. Is that anything you're looking into or can confirm?
Can't confirm it, no indication of it, and that's certainly something we are looking into. Again, I think I was asked, the first question I was asked, was there a doctor-patient relationship? We have no indication right now that there was a doctor-patient relationship between Dr. Lesslie and Phillip Adams.
Representative Ralph Norman told media outlets that that was the case and cited law enforcement, so you are not the law enforcement he would be citing?
No, sir. No, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It's actually for coroner right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that Adam died himself with a gunshot wound. Can you tell us where on the body he shot himself?
I prefer not to at this point.
I think I've already told that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. It was a single gunshot wound to the head.
Can you talk about the condition of the living victim?
Very critical. That was the last report that we had this morning.
Were there others in the house at the time, in addition to the 5 who were killed and the one who was killed?
No, we believe that there were the 2 air conditioning techs outside, and then Dr. Lesslie, his wife, and 2 grandchildren inside the home.
Sheriff, the 911 call, the second one referenced as many as 20 shots. Does the evidence on scene bear that out?
I don't know about 20, but definitely multiple gunshots.
Do we know what kind of weapon was used?
Yeah, there were two types of weapons. One was a .45, and one was a 9mm.
Sheriff, are you able to say how exactly Adams obtained those weapons? Is it legally, illegally?
Well, we don't have any indication that they were illegally obtained.
Was there anything found at the home where he was saying that might show some light as to why he did this, or any other evidence?
Not right now. We don't have anything right now. There's nothing about this right now that makes sense to any of us, and that's why we're working so hard to try to get more information.
When he left the scene, did he go to anywhere else, like maybe a nearby church, to try to get in there, or anywhere? Did he go anywhere? Do you know what his whereabouts between the 2 houses?
We don't believe so. Based on what we've been able to piece together so far, we don't believe so.
Do you know how long Adams was living with his parents?
I don't.
Do you know anything about his medical history, concussions, anything of that nature?
No, I don't.
Were the kids living there or were they out of town? Were they from out of town?
The children who were deceased, they live on the same property in Dr. Leslie's son and daughter-in-law's house.
Two more questions. Sir, Mr. Lesslie was a big part of this community. If you could take your sheriff's hat off for a second, how has their deaths impacted you personally?
Dr. Lesslie was a pillar in this community with what he was able to give back to this community. He was a longtime doctor. He had treated me in the past at his clinic. He was very involved in law enforcement with providing space for the sane nurses to do sexual assault exams on sexual assault victims. I was very involved in that. And so, we tend to eulogize and canonize folks, and it kind of waters it down, but I would not want to water down anything that Dr. Lesslie did or meant for this community. He knew everyone. He treated everyone with respect. And if you reflect on the family statement, that is the type of family that Dr. Lesslie raised, because that's the type of man that he was.
Sure.
Last
Where does the
question.
investigation go from here? What's next for you guys as y'all continue this?
Well, we've been back out to the scene today to try to look in more daylight and really why our next, if we can succeed in that, in answering some why questions that will certainly relieve the minds of the families that have been affected and put some closure for us to this investigation. And if you look behind you, many of the men and women who were involved with this yesterday and last night are here today. Some of them have not been to bed yet, and we continuously and tirelessly continue to work for the Shook family and for the Lesslie family. And I would just ask that you keep those families in your prayers, as well as the Adams family. For that, thank you.